What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Motorfest. In today's video, I do want to go over a pretty interesting topic. That is going to be a very important question, though. If you actually have the event difficulty on level 5, are you going to get more gold parts than you would at level 1? And is the event difficulty really going to matter? So there is obviously going to be 5 different levels of difficulty. Each one is basically going to increase the set XP you actually get. And you would most likely think if it was similar to the Crew 2, you would probably get, more gold parts, being on level 5 compared to level 1. So the way I did end up testing this out was I actually did a total of 15 races. I did 3 races with each difficulty from level 1 to level 5, running a max street tier 2 vehicle with a loot digger set. I also proceeded to do the exact same thing, running 3 events on each difficulty. My findings are going to be pretty interesting, guys. So the first one is going to be on level 1, obviously running 3 events there. With a max level street vehicle with a loot digger set, I got a total of 3 gold parts, running 3 different races on the level 1 difficulty. The first one I got 2 gold parts, the second one I got 1, and the final one I actually got 0 gold parts from it, so none actually dropped at all. The second time I actually did it on level 2, I managed to get 3 parts from the first event. I actually got 2 parts after that on the second run. And then finally, the last run, I managed to get myself 3 gold parts, equaling a total of 8 gold parts on the level 2 difficulty. That was honestly pretty dang surprising because I thought you wouldn't be able to get that many, but it does turn out in some way that yes, the difficulty may not matter. And then running the event on level 3 difficulty, I managed to get 3 gold parts on my first run. My second run, I actually got 0. And then my final run on level 3 was going to get me 1 gold part, for a total of 4 gold parts for that matter. What's kind of interesting is I wasn't actually thinking level 3 was going to be that great, and well, it does honestly turn out it probably isn't. Now, doing this on level 4, guys, I also did 3 events here, which funnily enough, though, I was kind of surprised because I only got 1 part per run on level 4, equaling a total of 3 gold parts, which is obviously less than the level 3 difficulty, giving me 4 parts for that matter. Now, I have to admit something though, this may not necessarily mean being at a lower level is better, but I have been noticing I'm getting more parts from the lower levels compared to the higher ones. At least what was happening before, like, level 4 guys gave me 3 gold parts, and then obviously level 1 only gave me 3 as well. And then for the 3 events on level 5, I managed to get a total of 7 parts from it. I actually got 3 parts on my first run, then 2 from the other ones after that. So I wouldn't say it's actually going to be a bad thing. Now, obviously, it is level 5, though. So the big thing here is most likely going to come down to the AI, and also the amount of XP you might end up getting compared to, like, level 1. For example, guys, on the race I was doing, you got around 10,640 XP on level 5. And then, of course, on level 1, you get around 9,520, which is almost around 1100 XP of a difference. Now, I would say depending on your parts, this is most likely not going to matter. And I would say if you are grinding out different parts, guys, and trying to get these sets you actually want, you are most likely not going to want to deal with the annoying AI on level 5. Like, certain vehicle classes are going to be worse than others. And I would say running 15 different events in a street-tiered vehicle, I wouldn't say it's terrible. Even running the Porsche Taycan the entire time, which by the way does 226. Mind you, most of the AI did not even catch up to me after I got by them, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be an issue. But I would say though, if you are grinding out parts and trying to get the most XP possible, you will then most likely want to be on level 5. Now, as I did mention earlier, I did end up doing the exact same event I did with the Street Tier 2 in a Hypercar, totaling another 15 different races with each difficulty as well. So I basically did 3 more events on each difficulty with a Hypercar to see if I was going to get different results with each one. Now, for all 3 of my runs on level 1, guys, I managed to get a total of 6 gold parts. The first run I actually got 2 parts from it. The second one I managed to get 4. And then my final run, I actually got 0, which I would say is probably going to not be that shocking. Running a loot digger set, of course, this is obviously recorded before the patch, so who knows, that might actually be different, but getting 6 gold parts on level 1 is honestly pretty insane. Now, if you actually compare this to the street class, though, I did actually get 3 gold parts from that, which is obviously going to be slightly lower, but also on par with level 4 when I did it. Now, I really do think getting 6 gold parts on level 1 is honestly pretty awesome. That way, if you guys do not care about XP and you most likely are higher leveled, you could probably run lower ranked events. That way you actually can get your part sets quicker. And of course, you also do not have to deal with the AI either. Now, the next one I ended up doing is, of course, on level 2, running a total of 3 events as well. For this, guys, I got an insane 9 gold parts from it. I got 3 gold parts on my first run, also getting 5 on my second, and then finally 1 gold part on my third. Do keep in mind, once again, I have been running a loot digger set the entire time as well, so it may end up making a slight difference because the amount of parts you actually get while using a loot digger. Now, one thing I have to find kind of insane though is on level 2, guys, 9 parts with a hypercar. Also running a street tier 2 vehicle on level 2 got me 8 gold parts. Like, that is going to be absolutely insane getting that many gold parts on a lower difficulty. It also kind of tells me that in a way it doesn't actually matter if you are on level 5 or not. And then for the hypercars on level 3, I managed to only get 4 gold parts total, which I would say is not going to be shocking considering in Street Tier 2 I also got 4 as well. So I would say level 3 is probably not going to be the best way to max out a car, or at least go after more gold parts for that matter. And then finally, guys, on level 4 with a hypercar, I got a total of 8 gold parts. The first run I actually got 5, the second I managed to get 1, and then finally after that I actually got 2. Now, I also find this pretty interesting because I managed to get 8 gold parts while running a hypercar, and then of course while running a street tier 2 I only got 3 of them. So I guess in some way it is most likely going to be like an RNG thing. Like, who knows, maybe it might come down to like the class you might be using in that said event, or it could even come down to getting more parts in like a different vehicle class than the other. I guess that might actually require more testing as well in the future, but for level 5 though, guys, with a hypercar, I managed to get a total of 6 gold parts, which is of course going to be lower than the level 4 getting 8. And I also did notice in Street Tier 2 I got around 7 parts on level 5 as well. So the biggest takeaway here after running this event 30 times, doing 15 in the Street Tier 2 and also 15 in a hypercar, is going to come down, guys, that you do not have to be on level 5 to get a lot of gold parts. In fact, if you really did want to, you could most likely run literally 1 through 4 if you don't want to deal with the AI being insane on level 5. Which, if you are wondering, by the way, I did notice a significant jump from level 1 to 5 with how they are. But do keep in mind, though, it definitely comes down to the vehicle class you might be running on how the AI actually act. I would say some classes are definitely worse than others. Now, overall, though, I have to admit, I would recommend trying out level 2 on the difficulty for the most parts. For some odd reason, I am having the most luck on level 2, at least for me right now. And I did want to mention, though, if you are going after gold parts, though, but you also want the most XP possible, then you are most likely going to want to be on level 5. But if you are looking to get maxed out parts, though, you luckily do not have to do this on level 5. And I would say that's probably going to be one of the greatest things ever. Now, I do have to admit, though, having this set up like it was in the Crew 2, where obviously getting more parts mattered, I am wondering if they may end up changing this in the future.